Hi, my name is Anthony Maris, director of Hotel Mumbai, and I'm here interviewing Margot for her amazing film, Infinite Storm. Well, Margot, it's a real pleasure to be speaking to you from the other side of the world, and congratulations on your film, Infinite Storm. It was a bloody experience, my God, I'm still shuddering from it.
Yes. Also for us, I mean, I can tell it was a kind of very brutal experience, very beautiful at the same time, but a kind of hardcore, I can tell you. We had only 25 shooting days. It's incredible. And 10 days, only 10 days up to the high mountains. So actually, I had that kind of choice, like, or do it a little bit a documentary way, handheld camera, and put Naomi and Billy into the real crazy environment and use the actually a reality, which is like they are tired, they are freezing, they are exhausted. So I said to myself that this is only one way to make this film work. So
yeah, and you felt it viscerally. It reminds me, it brings to mind another, Polish cinema legend, Kinski and Argyle, Wrath of God, where they went to South America for Herzog's film, and they braved the jungles. But very different kind of film. But look, can I ask by asking perhaps the most common and obvious and boring, maybe not boring, but the most common question a filmmaker gets after they've made a film, which is what drove you to do it? Like, what was it when you first heard about this idea or read the script? Like, what was it that kind of hooked you in? Like, what was it?
Particularly, I was searching for some project, but I'm not an author because usually I'm doing everything. I'm writing, directing, producing, and so I was a little bit maybe tired with that model, and I was kind of open to try another model and English language speaking and something which is like probably for the wider audience. So of course, it's typical, as you know, the best. They are sending the scripts, you are reading the scripts, but actually I've been like not attached to anything, and I found all of these stories like not my stories, so I couldn't find any personal tone on them. And particularly that story, the first draft of script was very different than what you see on the screen, and we've been working with Joshua Rollins more than 1 year to change the script. What I like about it, I like that it's a true story, and I like that it's like only one situation. A woman on the mountains with the man. That's what I like. I said, this is interesting. This is interesting for the filmmaker, for the director. You can be really focused on right elements like performance and only two characters. But it was on the first version of the script. It was a lot of flashbacks. And of course, I decided to skip them, and then it was a lot of dialogue. So this was like funny part because literally when we landed there, and I was like, oh my God, how they can speak to each other if it's can't talk. So I was like, no talking, and they've been like, how is possible? But I love my lines, and Naomi was, but I like my lines, and I was Naomi, but. Or you can scream them, or I don't know. It's not believable that they are talking. So it was a lot of searching and finding the right tone on the ground, and it was very demanding, very demanding.
Yeah. And you shot this during COVID, of course, right?
Yes, and it was like it might happen. It happened only because of COVID. Because I can tell you now,
how did that work out?
Naomi, she's so busy, as you can imagine. She's a star, etc. So she doesn't have a lot of time, and she only because of COVID she got that window, and that window was particularly 25 days, and she risked to travel to Slovenia because she had this free, spare 25 days, and she likes me, and because we've met before at the Venice Film Festival, and she was I want to make film with you. So I can tell you, if not COVID, I think the film would never happen. Also the best as a director, how it's hard to get all these elements.
The planets aligning.
So that's why we've been able to do it. That's why.
It's funny that you mention the initial or the earlier drafts had so much dialogue because it really did feel like your approach was a real distillation. You know, it felt really like cinema. And I know in some of my own work, also in dealing with true stories, there's one thing where it works on the page, and there's another thing when you get into the room or in the real life space, and things change. So, like, you know, in terms of your filmmaking, are you an intuitive director like that? Like, you know, do you let the environment that you're working in, you know, morph its way into your films, or are you more of a rigid sort of shot list kind of storyboard?
No.
I didn't think so, but you know.
I'm the first type. I'm very much moved by the situation, by the environment, by the actors, by their personality, but also I'm observing actors at the dinner all the time, and I'm trying to find the strongest parts of them, where they are believable, in what kind of situation, how they are moving, what is their physicality, voice, how they speak. So I'm very intuitive director, and
it feels that way. It feels that way.
Yeah, but I like when I know what I'm telling about. So, I mean, I have to know the story is about this and that. The scene part is about this and that. And then, of course, I can change something. But if I don't know what the story is about or what the scene should be about, then, of course, it doesn't make sense. So, you know, but no, I'm not the director who is like, I can give you a good example. Like, there is a joke on my sets. If someone is finding a draft of the script somewhere, everyone knows it's Malgo's script, because I'm never using this.
I do the same thing.
I'm even not opening. So it's like brand new Malgo script. Oh, that's Malgo's script, because everyone knows that I'm not using the script. But well, it's good. I mean, I think it's better for us.
It really creates a feeling of spontaneity, and it feels like life is unfolding rather than being pushed. And like, I guess, you know, to that end, like I felt that you had like a variety of really kind of innovative and kind of powerful techniques to try and get across just the sort of subjective delirium of being caught in a blizzard. So what I mean by that is, like, you know, the impressionistic use of the out of focus shots, the quick mind flashes back to the family, the way you use sound design. Were those techniques found in the edit room, or did you sort of have that in mind as you were shooting? You know, so for instance, when she first gets caught in the blizzard and, you know, you're doing this stuff with the camera like you don't know where you are. And, you know, and by doing that, you kind of put the audience subjectively directly into her mindset. How did you come up with those techniques? Like,
I think it's both. I mean, I mix it. I mean, I'm always like, we invent with my DP, Michał Englert. I'm always working with him. We invent together how camera should work and what kind of her POV and when and how. So we've been flexible, but like stick to the main idea. But then in editing room, of course, we change some order of the scenes, and we of course use some takes in a different way and etc. But for instance, with sound, it's a very good. It was a discover, because we've got Lorne Balfe, who is very famous composer. Mission Impossible, etc. Lorne, he was so kind to do it for us because he liked the project. And I can tell you that at the beginning, we've been planning much more music, and then we figure out that it doesn't make sense, that the nature, and also Lorne, he likes it, that we are not using a lot of score, that is more about ambient of the nature. And so we create that sound with my favorite sound designer, Ben Baird from Aquarium in London. I'm always working with him, and he's a genius. So yeah, it was a lot of creation process in the room, And then we discover like, yes, we cannot use too much music. We can't.
Yeah, it felt very, I think that goes to sort of this, the sort of subjective feeling of it. It felt very atmospheric, and, it's trying to put yourself in the psychology of this character who's kind of going through hell. So you definitely felt that. You definitely felt that. And what about, what about in terms of like the true story element? Like, how did you approach that? Did you have contact with Pam Bales in preparing to direct, in rewriting drafts and stuff? And how did that sort of side of things work out?
Again, I'm not a type who completely stick to the reality. So of course, I got the contact with Pam. I was more curious the way she speaks, again, how she looks like, well, what she's saying about those elements. I wanted to also hear the story. Yeah, how she remembers. So I was with her on phone. I was with her on. She sent me some little feels how she's packing her backpack. For instance. So that's why there is the scene. But I wasn't go too much into that, because then also I think it's makes you very stiff, because you want to really recreate this reality on the screen, and I think it's a mistake, it's a trap. So again, more flexible. I get the problem with the John character, I can tell you, because he's very enigmatic character, and in a real life, on a true story, he's also a very enigmatic character, and this was a problem. So because we couldn't change his character drastically, because I got the idea to change his character, I mean to reveal his story, but nothing like this happened in reality.
Yes.
So they say, no, you cannot do it, Małgo. So it's a little bit maybe one regret, because if it would be completely my story, I would make something a little bit else with John, but I wasn't allowed, because we should stick more or less to the reality.
Yeah, it's that question between dramatization versus drama, isn't it? Like, are you imitating, or are you trying to interpret life through true stories? And
exactly, this is two different things. No, it
is. I think so too. It's what's the deeper truth that you're going for, rather than a stated factual truth kind of thing.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to ask you about. I feel like in a typical Hollywood version of this story, you kind of you get a sense of rushing through a lot of the early sort of the early character setup, and you kind of get to the action a lot quicker in a more typical Hollywood version of a story like this. And one thing that I felt worked really powerfully is just spending time with the Pam character early on, like where there was just a sort of intimacy where we got to breathe in her world and kind of just got a sense of who she was, just when she's singing, in the car off key, and and just being with her. Like, was that scripted, or how much of that was sort of found in the rehearsal process or on the day? Those sort of moments where she's in the car, where she's singing, where she's doing all that stuff. If you can talk a little bit about how you came to set up the Pam character for your audience in the movie.
So it was not scripted. It was not scripted, of course. And when I started to work with Naomi, I was like, oh my God, she's so funny. She has all of these little things, and I want to reveal her real face. I said, no makeup, no additional hair, because at the beginning, Naomi, she get this typical approach, like, she wants to look good, she wants to have makeup, she wants to have some hair, etc. More strange, fancy hair, I would say. And I said, how come Naomi, she doesn't have any fancy hair? She's like...
Yeah, she's a mountain woman.
The mountain woman, no makeup. She's like red on her face and etc. And Naomi, she's amazing, because, like literally after one day, she said, yes, you are right. Let's forget about this. Let's do it, that way. So she was like brave to do it. And then I said she has to sing this. It was scripted that she's singing, but not in that way. Of course, it was like scripted that she's not singing, that she's listening to the song. So we are singing. We are all these elements in apartment we add, like the brushing the teeth.
Yes.
And these funny little things we found on the ground on the day.
Yeah, they're just those human moments. And, for me at least, it's that kind of specificity of character that makes the film more universal, that you kind of, you're seeing her do the thing with the toothbrush, that you're seeing her in these sort of private, intimate moments where, look, for me, it made the film so much more grueling in a good way in terms of when she actually gets into the shit, when she gets into the storm, because you feel like you've been with this person now, and you know her. Yes, you know her.
Yeah, that's what we want to achieve, and also I was even lacking more of these elements. I was like, I would love to have even more of her privacy and etc. because I think it works very good for the story. I think it's super dark now. I need to work on lighting. Where is my DP?
DP, come on.
DP, come on. Okay, now it's better. Yeah.
So you had your premiere last night and Pam was there. Did you get to speak to her afterwards? Like, what were her feelings? Yeah.
I was speaking at, we've been like, me and Naomi, we've been asking her very strange questions. Like, oh my God, how old are you? You look so good. And she was like, oh, I'm 75. And we've been like, what?
And shit.
Yeah, and we've been like, oh my God, how is possible? So we've been like, how many miles you are doing? How many days? What is your diet? Because we've been like, as a female, like so excited having this incredible woman in such a great shape,
Yeah.
And she was like, no, she doesn't drink alcohol. So we've been like with Naomi, because we drank already some drinks at the premiere. But she's a character. I can tell you, she's a character. She's something very strong, very powerful. I love her. I think she's gorgeous and she's funny, and she's also like funny. She has a sense of humor.
Well, and that's interesting, because I felt that the sense of humor that you displayed did something else in the film, like where you saw her willing to kind of laugh at herself and sing off key. You got a sense that she didn't necessarily take herself seriously in all places and was able to laugh a little bit. Do you think that kind of attribute allowed her to get through the hell that she went through on that mountain at other times, like the ability to sort of, see the absurdity of the situations we place ourselves in at times?
Well, I think it's super important that she has this, the kind of distance, and kind of that she has this, she can laugh on many things, because the real Pam is like this. That's what I found, because Pam was like, we've been asking her very gentle way about her loss, about the daughters. She was like, okay, of course, I can tell you, no problem. I passed, it was hard, but yes, now it's okay. So she's like the very grounded, stoic woman. I think it very, very much helped to understand Naomi that we shouldn't play a tragedy. We are not playing any drama. She's what she is. She's solid, everyone facing a loss in life, right? And then also on top of it, this humor, this a little bit irony, a kind of distance, which she has originally, and probably it helps her survive.
Yeah, it's the psychology of people enduring extreme circumstances is something that's interested me a lot too. In a film that I had made about a terrorist attack, also released by Bleecker Street, Hotel Mumbai. Check it out. Good video.
I know.
I found in making Hotel Mumbai, in researching Hotel Mumbai, one of the things that just floored me was the instinctual choices that real life people made in these really fierce circumstances. And so what I mean by that is, in that film, there's a terror attack on a building. You had thousands of people caught in the building. And I would have thought that, my first instinct and pretty much everyone's first instinct would just be to get out of danger as quick as possible and to save myself. And the thing that really made me stand up and basically want to make the movie was the more people I spoke to and the more that I read about it, was this idea that it wasn't like this. It was this idea of psychology of altruism. Like, how can I put a complete stranger first? And I started reading up a lot about it, and there was a Harvard paper on the psychology of altruism where they brought up cases like a bear attack in Canada, where a bear was going to attack this woman, and some other guy down the street who didn't know the woman, he was an old man, 75 years old, came out with a shovel and kind of hit the bear and tried to get the bear away, and then the bear went to attack him. And then other neighbors came out, and you got all these instances, and it gives you a little bit of hope, especially in the world that we're living in now. Which
but yeah, look at this. Exactly, you are totally right. Look at what's going on in Ukraine now.
Yeah,
I'm from Poland, so I'm on the border, and we took 3 million refugees to Poland within 1 month.
Unbelievable.
From the point where we've been the most anti-refugee country in the world.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So people are not afraid, and people are also, many of my friends are like not afraid to go there even with the gun to Ukraine. This is like, so if you are put in this, hardcore, edgy, crazy conditions, all of a sudden people are finding that they are brave, that they can stand by, and I think it's a hope.
I think people love these sorts of stories because even though I'll probably never be in a terror attack and you'll probably never be caught in a blizzard, we all go through these trials, or our own kinds of trials in life. And it feels like films like yours allow audiences to see what, people are able to do when they think all the odds are against them, but they still power on. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. I think that's why I like that's why also I like the story, because I was like kind of, I'm art house director. It sounds probably strange because I've done this film, but yes, I'm mostly art house director. And all of a sudden I'm doing this adventure movie with hope at the end, which is like, might be a joke for some European, because usually at the end everyone has to die and suffer and kill themselves or whatever. So I was maybe tired with that model. One second, it was COVID. I mean, the COVID thing completely changed everything. First of all, I wanted to escape from home. I want to be outside at the nature. I want to make a film. So I was kind of, oh my God, it's a perfect story for me now. And I want to have a story with a hope, right? But I also never expected that at the end of the day, it's gonna be working so well, because it's the right time for the film, and probably people want to see more hope than ever. No, we are living in a very difficult times.
We are, and and that's where films like this can help. I want to ask you about Naomi Watts. Specifically, I'm working with her because as an Australian, we all adore her. There was this funny commercial that you probably, wouldn't have seen it elsewhere. But when she was a teenager, I think there was a TV commercial in Australia, and it was for like, for the beef lobby, or the lamb lobby. Meaning, oh, you've seen it, yeah. Mum's cooking a lamb roast kind of thing. It's amazing that you had the actress that went from that, to Mulholland Drive, to 21 Grams, and now into your film. She is one of the finest actors I think Australia's ever produced, and it's a bit of a national treasure. How was it working with her? Like you said that you met her at Venice Film Festival and you forged a relationship. Like, how did you get from there to making this film together?
I can tell you it was because of the personal link. We really like each other at Venice, and we found a connection. We've been laughing on the same things, and like we are almost the same age, and it was like a supernatural link. And we are funny. We are funny pairs. So we had a lot of fun together. And then when I came to her, it was, easier because I sent her the script directly.
Yep.
And then she read the script and she said, okay, the story is interesting. Okay, I have window. So, that's why. And then, of course, when she arrived to this Eastern European country, surrounded by Eastern European beasts, because, we have a different nature, because we passed through war, and we've passed through communist experience, war, and the Slovenian and Croatian people through another war, as you know, recently. So different kind of very tough people. And I'm also a tough person, because
you look like a tough person. You look like
I'm from communism, I'm from communism. This really has nothing to do with growing up in the old democracy country. Has nothing to do. It's a different experience. So I think she was at the beginning puzzled with that. She didn't know how to deal with all of these strange people, who are so direct and so like, oh, I don't like it. I like it. It has to be like this. Let's move on. But I can tell you very quick, she found her way, and she really enjoyed, and she fit into us, and we made a friendship. It's a relation. We are thinking now about making another movie together.
Fantastic.
So yeah, it was very personal. That answer to your questions.